Hello my good fellas. In Sicario, why is Alejandro referred to as Medellin by the Mexicans? Personally, it took me watching Sicario at least 3 times to work out the question. Now I'll help you figure out what's going on and what does Medellin have to do with anything. My name is Ivan Piatouski and you're watching Vano VHS. Yes, Alejandro really was once a prosecutor, but after losing his family, he lost all hope and decided at all costs to take revenge on the killers. Now let's recollect who is behind the death of Alejandro's family. That's right, Fausto Alarcón. Then let us ask ourselves, who is this Alarcón? Fausto Alarcón was a drug lord in the Sonora cartel. The Sonora cartel was a Mexico-based criminal cartel. At the very beginning of the film, we saw a scene where the heroine of Emily Blunt, together with a special group, discovers a house with dozens of corpses stored in its walls. These people died at the hands of said cartel. Long before the Mexican cartels emerged, none other than Pablo Escobar founded the successful Medellin cartel, which one might say had a monopoly on the cocaine trade worldwide. The cartel operated from 1967 to 1993 in America, Europe, Asia, Africa and Oceania. At its height, the Medellin cartel was the largest drug cartel in the world and smuggled 3 times as much cocaine as their main competitor, the Cali cartel, an international drug trafficking organization based in Colombia. Traditionally, Pablo and the Medellin cartel had an arrangement with the Cali cartel that resulted in Medellin controlling the cocaine trade in Miami and Cali controlling New York City, while both of them agreed to share Los Angeles and Houston. Naturally, by the time of the film's events, the entire cocaine monopoly is in the hands of the Mexican cartels, and the former glory of Medellin is gone. So what's the problem? To answer that, we can use Josh Brolin's character. And the sponsor of this Vano VHS episode is Audible. Audiobooks are a great way to get a taste of a book without sitting down to read. You can listen to audiobooks in the car, at the gym, and you can read a book at any speed you want to finish reading faster. Audible offers an incredible selection of audiobooks of all genres. The best part is that the app has all those books we love so much. The Godfather, The Family Corleone, The Godfather's Revenge, Wise Guy, Hit 2 by Michael Mann and many more. Remember when I told you about the special edition of The Godfather with the Coppola introduction? You can listen to it today. All you have to do is visit audibletrial.com/vanovhs and ask for a trial. New users can try Audible for free for 30 days. Goodfellas, they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. I love books, but I don't always have time to read a paper version. But with Audible I can always enjoy The Godfather on the road or while driving. I really hope you will enjoy it too. Visit audibletrial.com/vanovhs and use a trial. All links are in the description. As an Audible associate, I earn from qualifying purchases, at no cost to you. So what's the problem? To answer that, we can use Josh Brolin's character.
And until somebody finds a way to convince 20% of the population to stop snorting and smoking their order's the best we can hope for. And what you saw up there was Alejandro working toward returning that order.
Alejandro works for the CIA to destroy all the warring cartels and ensure the return of the Medellin cartel's dominance in the area. Evidently, the CIA is much more comfortable handling a single force than a heap of cartels clawing at each other's necks. Would you say it's a fairy tale? Then let's recollect the famous TV series Narcos, or to be more precise, one minor but very colorful character, Bill Stechner, also known as Mr. Green. He was a CIA operative who provided weaponry to numerous rebel factions worldwide, notably in Latin America. He was assigned to head a CIA station in Colombia in 1992. The basis of Bill Stechner was Felix Ismael Rodriguez, a retired CIA agent who provided weaponry for the Nicaraguan Contras, and as a counterpart Felix delivered drugs from Mexico to the United States, the same role as Stechner had in Narcos Mexico. Felix was also involved in many CIA operations in Latin America, as was Bill's character in the Narcos and Narcos Mexico. In the series, after Escobar's murder, Stechner agreed to Agent Peña's return to Colombia. Representatives of the Cali cartel were negotiating a surrender deal with the government at that time, with the deal approved by the US State Department. Stechner wanted Peña back to secure the legitimacy of the surrender deal and warned him not to hunt down the Cali cartel.
We're gonna get them someday, but not your way.
Simply put, the government made the Cali cartel the only major cocaine smuggler, and the Medellin cartel was on the sidelines. So as we can see, the film script is not some detached from reality stories, but quite real events that take place behind our backs on a daily basis. The special services are playing their own game. They choose winners and losers, or to be more precise, those with whom it's easier to deal and control. In fact, you'll find an entire article on Wikipedia devoted to allegations of CIA drug trafficking. When you finish watching this video, I recommend you check it out. Now that we know the depths of the game the government is up to, I suggest we answer the main question. Why do the members of the Mexican cartel refer to Alejandro as Medellin?
Medellin.
Freeze!
No one knows how many years this operation had been in the planning stages. We cannot rule out the possibility that the events in Sicario are the outcome of years of effort, which began while Medellin was still running its operations. I have several quite viable theories on this subject. We should not forget that Alejandro was really once a prosecutor. Let's recollect this scene outside the torture room, when Alejandro exchanges a few lines with a colleague who knows him from his former position and life.
Qué bueno ver que sigues en la lucha.
Lo siento por lo que pasó.
While serving as a prosecutor, Alejandro seriously stepped on the toes of cartel members, which eventually led to the deaths of his wife and daughter. I believe his face was often on television in those days, and many members of the underworld knew the prosecutor by sight. The scene in which Alejandro talks to Guillermo in the torture room works well to support this theory. As we recall, Guillermo scoffs that he doesn't understand English before Alejandro invites him to take a walk in Yankee country.
Ahorita vas a ver lo que es conocer a Dios en tierra yankee.
As we gather from the reaction, the drug lord's brother didn't fully understand what Alejandro was capable of, so he knows him from his former life as a prosecutor. Moving on to theory number 2. Matt tells Kate that Alejandro worked for the Medellin cartel before he took the CIA training course. Here it seems to me there are two possibilities as to how events led Alejandro to where he is now. Option number 1. Alejandro, as a prosecutor, represented the interests of the Medellin cartel, which was contrary to the interests of the Mexicans. As we recall, in Sicario Part 2, Gilly kills a high-ranking Matamoros cartel lawyer, and before killing him, he removes his mask so the rival lawyer knows who his killer really is. Cartels have enormous influence in those places. Corruption is deeply entrenched in all spheres of influence, including the executive branch, so I don't think such a scenario can be ruled out. The second version is Alejandro is an assassin working for a Colombian cartel. After the terrible deaths of his wife and daughter, Alejandro has no desire to go somewhere quiet, forget about everything and start his life over again. Instead, he gathers all his hatred into a fist and turns to the Medellin cartel for help. Indeed, to set in motion a plan of revenge against the powerful Mexican cartel, hands alone will not be enough. My guess is that Colombians taught Alejandro the basics of weapons, tactics and so forth. Then at some point he is spotted by CIA operatives, who take him under their wing and decide to use his anger to their advantage. They convince him that the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and by helping them he can accomplish his plan of revenge.
Alejandro works for the Colombian cartel.
And here is theory number 3. While making this video, I also came across some interesting thoughts about Alejandro becoming a kind of a legend among the cartel members. Considering that after the murder of his relatives he became so unrelenting in killing anyone involved in the murder of his family, people thought it undesirable and even dangerous to mention him openly. He became a kind of a boogeyman, a scary fairy tale in the eyes of Mexicans, if you will. It's not a surprise, because for Alejandro the end always justifies the means, and he will make whatever sacrifices to achieve his goal. This aspect is perfectly shown in the scene when Alejandro gets the information in the interrogation room, as well as in the scene that appears only in the draft version of the movie script. All this will be discussed in detail in my next video, so subscribe to my channel, leave comments down below and stay tuned. Subscribe to my channel to watch the future Vano VHS videos, and if you prefer reading rather than watching, visit my website using the card you see on your screen. Watch the video on the right to learn how exactly did Sicario 2 end. My name is Ivan Piatouski and you're watching Vano VHS.